Hey everybody, welcome back to Microsoft Ignite Live. I'm Joey Snow, and sitting next to me, I'm so excited. Is it okay if I fanboy a little?
For sure.
Erin Chappell is here, and she's joined us, and I am super excited. So for those who don't quite know who you are yet, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Well, my name is Erin Chappell, and I currently lead product for the Azure Compute organization.
Woo.
Yeah, so with my colleagues in storage and networking, the trifecta of storage, networking, and compute makes up the core Azure infrastructure. And I'm excited to be there. I've been there for 6 months now. I could say I've done my own migration to the cloud after having run Windows Server for a number of years. And so excited to bring all that I learned from Windows Server, connect those two worlds together, and especially with the show this week, as we talk about hybrid, it's just a great time to have both of those pieces of knowledge.
So you are now hybrid.
I am hybrid.
You have made this journey.
I've made the journey,
everybody.
yes.
This is absolutely fantastic. I want to start out with that and start talking about, because today is the hybrid themed day, particularly here as what we're showing on the live stream. How has your journey in what you're doing influenced what's happening in your Azure Compute world?
Well, you know, the thing I'm most excited about right now is this idea of Azure as the world's computer. And I think, you know, if you go back 3-5 years ago as the cloud was coming up, you know, we had this idea, this sense that the cloud was the destination, and it was all this talk about movement to the cloud. But since then, there's been this rise of the edge, right? And those of us who've come, I think, from the on-premises space knew that not only were on-premises data centers important, on-premises infrastructure, but then as you've gotten all of these IoT devices and just immense amount of, I mean, technology is infused in everything we do. You go to a stadium, it has technology in it. Your refrigerator has technology in it. And it's just you're creating this massive amounts of data that's changing the way in which organizations think about their business, right? It's unlocking just new ways in which they can digitally transform their business to take advantage of this data and connect their employees to their operations, to the customer, and create new experiences and just create new business opportunities. And so I think we really see Azure as that world's computer, starting at the infrastructure layer. And you know, this week we had some great announcements around what we're doing with the Azure Stack portfolio. So really creating infrastructure that spans all the way from the cloud down to the edge. And then with Azure Arc, layering on what we've done with the control plane and extending that resource management, not only that we have in Azure today that runs millions of resources, but extending that out to the on-premises world or even to multi-cloud, so that we can layer those services and then ultimately the applications that power the businesses on top.
Really, what I have seen in going back through your presentations, and this was really cool to see you do one big massive scale demo during the keynote, and then down to the next, and then down to the next in the session. Of the announcements, it's bringing that ability to get to those applications back to those IT professionals that are out there, and make it really easy to get to.
Yeah. I mean, in some sense, we want to start with what the IT pros know today, which is their on-premises environment. So there were some great announcements this week with the general availability of the new version of the Windows Admin Center and some of the hybrid integration that we've done there that really make it easy for customers to connect what they have to Azure. But then you really want to come full circle, right? Because as you go through your journey and you move to the cloud and you start to then modernize, you know, as you move into more of those agile and DevOps types practices, you want to be able to have that consistently apply back into your on-premises space. And that's where Azure Arc comes in on the other end to really kind of bring it back full circle.
I want to deep dive into Azure Arc because I held that back. I'm like, don't talk about Arc yet. Don't talk about Arc yet.
I can't because I'm so excited about it. Yeah.
Exactly, because this is that piece, and you talk about that journey and that roadmap. So it's not a thing.
No.
It's a grouping of things.
I think about Azure Arc as being, well, it is a thing in some sense which enables other things. And so Azure Arc truly is the extending our control plane from Azure into on-premises. So within Azure today, we have our Azure Resource Manager, and that is what manages the hundreds of millions of resources that exist. It does the security, the governance, policy, et cetera. And what we heard from customers is that, you know, almost like, 10 years ago or so in the virtualization space, when virtualization first started, you had VMs that were kind of spinning spinning out of control, and the IT pro would really go from this world of knowing all their servers to like somebody could just create a VM. Well, now in this hybrid world, you have VMs, you have containers, they're getting created in Azure, they're on premises, and you really want to be able to look at the governance of that, ensure that you have the compliance and the security of that state. And there's all these new practices in terms of containers and Kubernetes and what we're doing in more of that DevOps space. And so having a consistent way that I can manage my VMs, whether or not they're Linux or Windows, my Kubernetes clusters, and then ultimately the services like data services in that consistent way, the control plane enables me to then be able to do that.
What I love about this is to be able to consistently apply. I get asked by customers all the time when I'm speaking with customers, what are Microsoft's recommendations for X or Z?
Yes.
And we've got some of those practices as we fire up VMs and other services running inside of Azure. Now we can take some of those very same things right back down to.
Well, and you think about things like Azure policy. In some sense, Jeff Woolsey demoed this in my infrastructure session, but he talked about Azure policy as being the group policy in some sense of the cloud. And I know how many group policy fans that we have out there because of its power, right? And so if you think about Azure policy, and then you combine it with Azure Arc, I can now create a single policy that governs my resources, whether or not they're running in the cloud or on premises. Whether or not they're a VM or a container, right? And so it really simplifies the power of what we can provide and codifies those best practices into your environment.
It's this journey of moving from on-premises to the cloud and then even back down to on-premises.
Exactly.
As your business grows and changes.
And it's really about the flexibility and choice, right? We want to be able to meet customers where they are in their journey, enable them to get more and more out of the investment that they've made, right? In an on-premises world, building out that infrastructure is both a time and a financial commitment. And so if there are ways in which you can extend that, right, and leverage capabilities that we have in the cloud and bring that into your environment, then it just does more with that investment that you've already made.
100%. Hey everybody, if you are watching at home, you can participate in my conversation here with Erin. Just go to aka.ms/MS Event Live. Right there on the right-hand side is a question. And we have a question from Steve. Steve says, what advice would you give an organization looking to replicate what they've done on-prem into the cloud?
All right, well, I might change that question because I think one of the pitfalls that people run into, and I talked about this in my mechanics session yesterday, is that they try and replicate exactly what they've done in the cloud. And in on-prem, right, as an IT pro, you don't want to be woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and so you oftentimes over-provision, you over-provision your servers, you over-provision your applications because you don't want, well, the cloud is a fundamentally different environment, right? You don't need to do that same over-provisioning. So the first thing I would say is, I think you have to start with assessment. We've got a set of great tools. We recently launched the new migration portal that brings all of our migration tooling into a single place and allows you to assess what you have on premises and figure out what do you really need in the cloud in order to both bring that, but also leverage the benefit and the power of why you're moving to the cloud.
And what's important to note there is, not all the time are you leveraging the sheer size or amount of resources. It may not be necessary, and if you immediately pick that up and drop that up into Azure, you're not helping things, you may be hurting things because of the perspective of this.
Exactly.
Where's the first place that, I'm sure you get asked this all the time, okay, I'm just starting this journey. Where can I get this? Because so much has been announced and there's so much out there. I know you have a great set of resources that are available for people who are just getting started.
I would say Azure.com is a great place. That's really where you can get to all of our technical documentation. And then I'll highlight the migration portal as well. I think that migration portal is a great place that has the one-stop shopping, right, for how you think about skilling up, assessment, the tools. We have integration with third-party tools in there, and so it really provides you with that end-to-end approach. Third-party
tools and partnerships as well. A lot of the work that you've been doing around ARM and some of these changes in Azure Arc also is extending out even to partners, correct?
Yes. So earlier this year at Inspire, we announced Azure Lighthouse. So Azure Lighthouse is our offering that enables partners to be able to, within the portal, manage their multiple customers in a consistent way. Now, all of that was built using the Azure Resource Manager as well. And so, Azure Resource Manager was the way in which those partners could apply policy across their customer environments. And now, with Arc, that's just Arc-enabled in many ways. And so, again, if a customer is managing on behalf of a partner is managing on behalf of a customer, that customer happens to add Arc locations, those Arc locations have resources on premises as well as in the cloud. That partner now has access to be able to manage in that way.
This is so cool because this is that, I guess there's no other thing to say, it's hybrid by design, maybe a good way to say it, and true hybrid.
Well, and I think it's another example of just this growth mindset that we have and continually learning and understanding and listening to the feedback from our customers, right? We're all figuring out in many ways how the cloud is evolving, how the edge is evolving, and so if you take an idea and it's static in time and you're not willing to evolve and think about how do you do this, but by starting with the primitives in some sense, starting with the platform, starting with things like the Azure Resource Manager that's tried and true and used in the cloud, right? We can move more quickly and we can really extend a lot of the value that we've created to meet the customers where their scenarios are and where the demand is.
And it really gets to one of the things that I saw on social media is I've been kind of going through the week, was a case there was an IT professional who went, I did all of this work, I deployed these things and I did this stuff and that wasn't going above and beyond.
Yeah.
Because they're not contributing back into the business. So having these pieces available to drive that business forward, it's not just an IT problem.
Yeah, and I think, it's been, I'm a server gal by default, and so it's exciting, right, to understand all of the underlying storage and network in this, and so sometimes it can be a little unsettling in some sense to let go of that and say, well, somebody else has that taken care of for me, and I'm going to now move up the stack in some sense in terms of focusing on governance, security, compliance, but that is really, at the heart of where a lot of the challenges that businesses are today, regulatory compliance, just security in the world, what we're seeing. And so skilling up in those areas around Azure governance, around the Azure Security Center, Sentinel, all of those things are ways in which you can increase, in many ways, the impact that you're having back on the business.
This is, I'm so happy over here. You're speaking my language.
Awesome. Well, before we run out of time, I actually have a little present for you.
Oh.
I don't know, but this is, I'm going to turn it the right way for the camera so we can see. I think this is, we created a little bit of a buzz around our stickers.
I've seen this on Twitter, yes.
This is a tardigrade.
A tardigrade.
It is an 8-legged microbial creature that actually has survived space. Right? They're actually all over the world, and they're one of the most resilient. And so he is our project mascot in Azure now, and across Microsoft for the work that we're doing in resiliency and availability. He's affectionately also known as a water bear. But if you want to know more about the work that we're doing at the infrastructure and just the data architecture, Mark Rusinovich has a great session tomorrow up at 2:15 on Thursday over in Valencia. And I'm sure he'll be talking more, and I think he has more stickers at his session as well.
These are really tiny, which means that the Ninja Cat on top, even smaller?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure we'd be able to even tell. It's a very micro Ninja Cat.
Micro Ninja Cat. It's the next big thing.
Yeah.
The Micro Ninja Cat. Let's go ahead and plug some of the sessions that you've done. And
awesome.
Ask you to pick your favorite child and tell everybody where they can go back to watch these.
Well, actually,
which session they should
the one I probably had the most fun at was yesterday's mechanics session,
okay,
right?
cool.
I think that was really practical in terms of talking about 3 things that you really need to think about when you move to the cloud. And so that would be the one that I would choose to highlight.
Awesome. Erin, I have loved every minute of
Awesome.
this. I wish we had 15 more minutes because I have about 150 more questions, but we'll talk about that after.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joey.
Erin. Yeah, no problem. Hey, listen, before we head on out to the conference floor, we want to remind everybody, give us your questions. Go to aka.ms/MS Ignite Live, just like Steve did. We love Steve. Thanks, Steve, for the question. Now it's time to go to Sarah over in the Community Center. Hey, Sarah, it's all up to you.